Yes. So, we just wanted to pull you aside and talk to you a little bit about this project of yours and how in alignment it is with our station. WURD is the only independently owned Black talk radio station in the entire state of Pennsylvania, one of the few left in the nation. So the idea of being unapologetically Black and encouraging conversations where we can talk about being Black or where Blackness fits is incredibly important to us. You're doing that through humor. So talk a little bit about that process of how you're creating your content with your fellow co-creators.
Oh man, well the show hasn't launched yet, so we'll see. But let me tell you the history of it. Tanner approached me, and when his book was about to come out, and I was just amazed that there was a white person who was willing to engage in conversation about race, because I think the intra-Black conversation about it gets. It's like we've done that. So dear America, like hand the baton over a little bit, and let if we don't have white people engage in that, we're not going to finish on our own. It's just like men are needed in a fight against sexism the same way. So he and I just got along. And we did an event, a live event with Soledad O'Brien as a moderator. That's kind of a test run. And we called it Our National Conversation About Conversations About Race. There was wine involved. There was a live audience. We got loose. And we just dealt with issues that we had with each other, with our respective groups, with the country. He's not a far-right conservative. He's definitely a liberal guy, but he's got some issues to pick with certain elements of the racial justice community. I've got issues to pick with my own community about certain things. So that's how it started. And then when we tried to put a tour together around this, let's travel the country, me and you, talking about race. We'll go to Alabama, we'll go to Pennsylvania, like a presidential campaign. That's exhausting. And we don't have the Koch brothers funding us, so it takes a lot. And he suggested we should do a podcast. And that's when we reached out. We said, we need a woman, because we can't be two dudes talking about race. We can't be black and white and making it so binary. And Raquel, I had worked with briefly on some CNN tip a long time ago. And she's also in New York. So we reached out to her, hit it off with her. And she's Dominican. There's so many shades of everybody, but there's just a beauty in how we all came to this. I wrote a book called How to Be Black. Tanner wrote a book called Some of My Best Friends Are Black. Raquel wrote a book called Bird of Paradise, How I Became Latino. So we all kind of repped our race in our book titles and dealt with internal group conversation. Tanner's talking to other white people, Raquel's talking to other Latino and Latina people, I'm talking to other black people, but also intergroup stuff as well. So the show will feel like that. It will play with this. I'm a registered comedian in the registry of comics, but we're all funny people. And I think this topic requires and demands a levity to it, because we are in the too serious zone often with these topics. We're quick to be offended. We're quick to get defensive. And everybody thinks their sacred honor is on the line. You know, Rudy Giuliani says, I can't be racist. Settle down. And maybe you're not a racist. You just said some racist shit. Like, we acknowledge that. The words that came out of your mouth, they were racist. You're good. You're a good person.
But at least
your words were mad racist.
And we've got to create more space for that. So I hope as everything gets off the ground that we can stay in touch, because that content is so necessary for the dialogue that we want to promote as a station about how to expand this, how to be able to even have the conversation, as you said. Not a conversation about the conversation, but to actually have the conversation.
And in our case, it's both. So one of the things, we chose to do the show twice a month, not every week, because there's an exhaustion to chasing the news cycle and getting to try to be analytical, to be smart, to be funny, to be accurate about things that just happened. And so partly we wanted to take the luxurious path. Let's just hang back. Let everybody else make all these mistakes, and then we'll come in and judge and weigh in with our own opinion. And so it's fun to also think about, okay, what is black media saying about this? What is social and black Twitter and media saying about this? What is MSNBC versus Fox saying about this? And where do we land as individuals? I think there's a lot of folks are having these conversations. They think, like MSNBC, sometimes I feel like they think they're having the only conversation. Well, Fox is having a crazier conversation. Let's see if we can bridge some of that gap, and clearly vice versa is also the case. So it is a conversation about conversations, but it's also just a conversation.
This has been a pleasure. We've got to do it again soon.
Thank you.
So much.
Pleasure to meet you, Stephanie.
Likewise.